Breaking news, no surprise to the fantasy football show community that Leonard Fournette is disappointing again. One of the most disappointing prone players in fantasy football in the NFL. Leonard Fournette was written off by the Jaguars entering 2018, and they gave him another shot. Talked about releasing him in 2019 to begin the season. They were writing him off again and basically gave him one more shot. He goes out and has a 100+ mile an hour speeding ticket, gets arrested. And yeah, people said, oh, it's just a speeding ticket. It's a pattern of behavior. They tried to trade this guy for a ham sandwich during the offseason and couldn't. And now they've released him. Now, it's important to note that he went from projected bum by yours truly and the fantasy football show community. We've been avoiding this guy at all turns. We've been taking him in the fourth round in mock drafts because we know that there's trade value there. There's always trade value in a guy you don't love. Like there's a line in the sand to draft anybody. My line in the sand for Todd Gurley, I don't know where the hell it would be, but if I draft Todd Gurley at some point, it's because I know I could trade him immediately after the draft. Any mock draft I've shown you where I've drafted Fournette, which has been fourth round, is because he crossed the line in the sand, and I would have traded him to put some poor sap before the end of 24 hours had passed. And so that's the gist of Fournette when I would have taken him, when I wouldn't have. Now it's important to note that he went from projected bum to bum right now in fantasy football, but he could just as easily sign somewhere interesting and one team, all it takes is one team, give him a shot to climb up a committee or a team that maybe has a questionable running back situation or an injury could happen 2 weeks from now, and then Leonard Fournette sign with, a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It can happen. So, like, if he was released in your league, even though he's been a complete avoid for me all off season long. In fact, Leonard Fournette was number, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7, I think, on my bold predictions for 2020 as a potential, as a near lock bust for 2020. Um, he's still somebody that you would pick up because of the trade value. He's still somebody you would pick up because if he signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the New England Patriots or whatever, he would have value again. And he'd go from complete bum to potential, value guy again. So keep that in mind. All it takes is one team. But I told people you traded for I traded Fournette yesterday. Good thing you did, Sid. And I've been preaching this since January. I've been preaching this since 2018. And yes, he did well last year, and I was wrong last year because I predicted him to be a bust in 2018, and he was. Fell flat on his face. People drafted Fournette in the first round after he lost weight, was playing at a lighter weight, a guy that needs extra weight for his aggressive rushing style. It's like taking the pads off when you take weight off a guy like that. I said, why is everybody drafting this guy in the first round? He completely busted. Then in 2019, he did have a good year, which we knew wouldn't happen again because of the change in the offense that won't throw to the running back like they did in 2019. We knew he'd lose all that PPR work for the most part. And then there's the decision making on and off the field. Leonard Fournette was clearly, easily, writing was on the wall. One of the biggest disappointment running backs heading into 2020. And people continue to draft this guy high. He was drafted. I like to think we had a lot to do with the shoving of his ADP downward because he was getting taken in January and in December and in November. When you tell me, what do you mean taken? Football's still going on in November and December, Smitty. We mock draft for the upcoming season in November, December, and January. We start mock drafting in November and December. Yeah, chew on that. That's what we do here at the Fantasy Football Show. And all through there, he was getting drafted in the 9 to 14 overall range. And continuously, it was no Fournette, no Fournette, no Fournette, no Fournette, no Fournette, no Fournette, no Fournette. Does that sound familiar? The no Fournette. Um, and we drove him into the third round. I firmly believe we had a lot to do with driving his ADP down to the third round. And, you know, people always say to me, I just got a message. I got 2 or 3 messages from people saying, glad I didn't draft early. Glad I didn't draft early. I can't tell you how many times I heard that this morning. Glad I didn't draft early. Why? Why are you glad you didn't draft early? Drafting early is the best blessing you could put upon yourself in the fantasy football space. Drafting early gives you an advantage. Drafting early is great for a person that's immersed in fantasy football that knows to stay away from Leonard Fournette. Drafting early is where you separate the players from the magazine drafters. Drafting early gives you an insane competitive advantage because while everything looks the same and normal at the first and second and third and fourth round levels, although there are the Fournettes and guys like that, you know to avoid because they're risk averse. People fall apart in the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth round. They start drafting guys they shouldn't draft. People start drafting Jarvis Landry in the fourth and fifth round that aren't immersed in fantasy football. People don't know that Aaron Jones has fallen all the way from 9 or 12 overall down to literally the 3.3, where he might become good value again. But drafting early is an advantage. Drafting early gives you a huge strategic advantage because you're immersed in fantasy football content and information all offseason. Hit the thumbs up. Wipe your feet. We got 30 to 50 eyeballs in here and 6 punch thumbs up. Punch it. Thank you. So another day at the office remotely right now as I drive because I wanted to talk to you now instead of later. But just another day at the office with Leonard Fournette. And congrats to all of you who traded him last night. Congrats to all of you who've been listening to my content on this over and over. And, Thompson, Armstead, we don't know. It could be a player not on roster. It could be Devonta Freeman. We don't know. We don't know. It's definitely going to be an interesting couple hours as we navigate the news space and we try and see if anybody's brought in. We try and see if anybody is sorry guys, I'm pulling into a garage here for a meeting that I have. It's crazy, guys. This is crazy. It's the writing was on the wall. Congrats to all of you that don't own Leonard Fournette. And I doubt a whole lot of my people own him. I really do. I really believe that a lot of my people know this is a guy to avoid. You want next man up to avoid? You know what I'm going to say. You know what I'm going to say. And you know I'm going to get the whys. But why, Smitty? I own this guy. How can you not like him? I own him. I own him. Don't say that. Mixon's next man up. At his cost, Mixon. Don't go near Mixon at number 11 overall. Miles Sanders, I like. I think Miles Sanders has poor man's Alvin Kamara value, but don't go near him at 1.9. Don't go near him at 1.9. Go near him at 2.12, but he's not going there. So that means you don't go near him. It's too risky to go after Miles Sanders at 1.9. It's too risky to go after Joe Mixon at 1.9 to 2.2. It's too risky to go after DJ Moore anywhere near your second round pick, which I see happen on occasion, and I scratch my head and I say to myself, how the hell do you take DJ Moore, who I like, at the right value? I like Sanders at the right value. I don't really like Mixon anywhere, but I'd draft him at the end of the second round to trade him. Of course, there's a line in the sand. A line in the sand. Jenkins is skeptical of Drake. I can understand that. There are reasons to be worried. Injury. I know you're probably worried about him not being trusted by a coaching staff yet. I'm not worried about that because Arizona proved that they're ready to to use him full time, and he was a top 4 running back from week 9 on when he was traded for. I draft Miles Sanders at the end of round 2, and I think that I'd even keep him there. Like I'm not doing it just to trade him. Like I'm okay with if he shares workload and they keep him healthy, which I think he needs a sharing situation to stay healthy. And that's just a gut instinct. You can tell me I'm wrong. I don't care. And a lot of the Fournette stuff was gut instinct. How the hell did I know? How did I know Fournette was going to disappoint you? I didn't know. It was 16 years fermented in my carcass as I play fantasy football over and over. Fermentation of fantasy football experience and all that. Do I miss? Absolutely. Could I miss on Sanders? Yeah. Could I miss on Mixon? I could. But how did I know Fournette was going to disappoint you? How did I know that? I didn't know that. A lot of it is gut instinct, pattern recognition, unconscious pattern recognition, and output of content and gut feeling. And my gut tells me my radar is and my risk meter is all over the place when you tell me you're drafting Miles Sanders at 1.9. Yeah, Michael, like I mentioned earlier, he could go from bum, which he is now, to all of a sudden he's top 10 running back again, like that. It depends on where he lands. He could land in a great spot. I mean, it's definitely possible. So keep that in mind. I mentioned that at the beginning. But how did I know Fournette was going to become a disappointment to you? I didn't. It's gut instinct. I don't know exactly how he's going to disappoint you. And I didn't have anything concrete to bring to other than pattern recognition, bad decision making, over and over, injury, all that stuff. And Miles Sanders, to me, without any hardcore proof other than the historical pattern recognition of that Philadelphia Eagles coaching staff not sticking to one running back, that's part of pattern recognition. He's hurt already. We don't have a long track record of him doing it. We don't have a long track record of Drake doing it either. But my eye test tells me Drake can do it. My experience and 16 years of fantasy football professional writing and reporting and bold predicting tells me that Drake does have risk. Drake could be outside the top 25 running backs. I hate to break it to you if you've drafted Drake. He could be outside the top 25 running backs. He could also be number 4. And I think that you got to decide what league you want to take that kind of risk in because Drake can be that good. Leonard Fournette, keep an eye on what happens with the news. He could land somewhere, but this is this was par for the course for the guy we call Lenny Boy. Man, stay away from Mixon. Stay away from Sanders at the 1.9 value. Not later. I like him later. He's not a bust, like for sure bust to me, but I stay away from him at that value. There are a couple other names. Cooper Kupp, I stay away from at 3rd round value. It's just too high. There are a lot of players that I think are going to be disappointing prone, which is a new phrase you're going to see me coin, a new phrase you're going to see me peddle out there, and you're going to see people start using this thing because I'm going to start labeling people disappointment prone, and I'm going to start giving them grades. And Leonard Fournette was at the top of the freaking list, man. Disappointment prone to the max. Mixon's disappointment prone. Stay away from Mixon, man. Leonard Fournette. What about Odell? Are you staying away from him? Odell is very disappointment prone. He's got some upside, though. His risk is lower. He's fallen into the 4th and 5th round. That makes him easier to buy into in one league, but his disappointment prone rating is off the chart. Gurley, guys, you know this. So Mixon's not number 1, but a person I'm trying to, as you go into your drafts, make sure you're not drafting at 1.9, 2.2, 2.3. End of the second, Mixon's got enough upside and that risk would be acceptable. Gurley, you don't go near. Mark Cleveland, what running back would you take at 2.10? Drake or Eckler if they're there. Past that, man, um, you're going quarterback, tight end, or wide receiver at 2.10. I don't, other than Drake and Eckler, I don't know that I can see, and especially now, take Leonard Fournette out of the top 12, where he was kind of out of there anyway. But for some people, they're still drafting him there, and occasionally would bump down somebody you'd love to see fall. But man, you're taking Mahomes, you're taking Lamar, you're taking Galladay, Evans, Godwin. Those are the guys falling there. I don't like any running backs typically at 2.12. Um, I'm usually not going running back there, but throw a couple names out and I might tell you whether I would take that player. Oh man, what a day. Yeah, if Fournette lands in Philadelphia, it's just going to be icing on the cake in terms of predicting the high. I mean, as of right now, I take Sanders at 2.12, but he's not going to fall there. He's not going to fall there. Chubb at 2.1, too early. Too early. I'm fading him there. Lenny, I mean, yeah, there are a couple places Lenny could land, like Tampa Bay, or a place where they plan to use him. Any place they plan to use him would be good for him. Um, but he could still be very disappointment prone, injury prone, all that. I'll be back. I appreciate all of you. Yeah, injury can open the door like Pittsburgh, and then he has value. But will he get hurt again? He's still disappointment prone, even if he lands somewhere. I'll be back. I appreciate all you.